right, when you go to apply for a new job. Because if you're applying for office management jobs, they want to see that you're an office manager. They don't want to make the connection that, oh, you're a receptionist and I have to be the one that promotes you into my office manager position. So feel free to take creative liberties. In short, Richard, I would say your resume should be tailored, given to the position that you're applying to, and you should have multiple versions of it. Think of it like your sign, like a billboard, or your marketing sign for who you are. Your resume is not who you are, but it's supposed to help get you to the next step. It's like an advertisement. It's like, ooh, this person looks interesting for my position. I'd like to talk to them some more. So how do you communicate that?
So even if you were the quote unquote receptionist or whatever, you did scheduling for the executives and salespeople in the office. You did client communications, and these are the things that
handled supplies. Maybe did some bookkeeping. Now I know that might be all under your duties. I'm just saying, feel free. And if you really wanted to be a receptionist, then you can still call yourself a receptionist and move into reception. There's nothing wrong with that. There's some great jobs, in that area where you're taking on a lot of things. So I'm just trying to say, tailor your resume to what you're applying to. So that individual may call themselves an office assistant. They may let's say they did all the accounting for the company too, and it's a small company. They could call themselves a bookkeeper if they needed to, and they really wanted to pursue accounting as their career. I'd say if you feel really guilty about it, like you're false advertising, maybe you just put receptionist / office manager, or receptionist / office manager / bookkeeper, because, we're talking about semantics here. It's just a simple example, but I see people fall into that trap. The reason is because you have to realize the people that are looking at resumes tend to be younger. They tend to be in human resources, and they might have to go through 500 resumes. And if there's a 23 or 24-year-old, not that I'm keeping that age, but they might have very little experience, and the owner of the company says, hey, I want you to find the 5 best office manager resumes from this stack. If your thing doesn't say office manager, you're not going to get picked.
And also perception, what some perceive to be, if they see the word receptionist, oh, that's possibly an more of an older person that's been set in a job and just did the receptionist job or whatever. They're going to perceive it differently than when they actually see an office manager, and those skills the skills would probably jump out more as far as when they put that in the resume. And I'm thinking, when I think of a resume, it really should showcase your expertise.
Right.
Without being too bold, right?
Yeah, the reality is you don't know what the other party is thinking.
Exactly.
And
perception.
So you want to try to, tailor it, appropriately. So it should be tailored. It should be focused on accomplishments under 2 pages. And, that would be kind of my quick little, rundown on a resume.
Love it. Great information. Well, what would you say has been the major changes caused by social media in the area of actually hiring employees or for those job hunting?
Yeah, so it's funny. We're in a time, right, where communication, the way we communicate, in the media by which we communicate has changed, dramatically. In the 15 years that I've been in the business, when I first started helping companies hire and help people get a new job, I was literally cutting classified ads out of a newspaper and then calling on that company, not pretending to apply, but asking how the application process was going and try to get them to work with me to help them hire that person. And I also had a couple of drawers full and a rolling file cabinet of resumes. I promise I'm going to pull this in. Where is this going with that?
Well, I know when we started our company, we were the same way. So yeah.
Yes. So, but during that time, there's a massive amount of change that it's occurred. Like, even with the media that you watch, and I'm not going to get a lot into this, but what you have to realize is this: your cell phone has now become what the television used to be, right? ABC, NBC used to use it for your news. It used to be. When the commercials come on TV, for example, the first thing, if I don't have a DVR or I can't DVR it, that night or whatever, and I'm watching something live, whether it's a sporting event or something, I immediately pick up my phone during my commercial and look at something, which a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. My point here is that's become the global way, the big way that people are communicating now, right, is using their cell phone. So you want to be part of the conversation, right? So if I come across a resume as a headhunter, recruiter, whatever the names you want to call people, what I do, we're immediately going online to look you up and try to find what your social media says about you that I can't ascertain simply from your resume. Because the resume is not enough information anymore. Someone might be like, hey, this is my friend Rachel. Take a look at her resume. She's looking for work. I might even Google her before I even read her resume. And then I can pull up her LinkedIn profile. I can see what she looks like, see where she's been, see who knows her, see how many connections she has. I'll put them on Facebook to see, does this person have a family? What are they about? Are they transparent online? Are they afraid of social media? So there is a wealth of information online. So and I don't know if I completely have answered your question, Richard, but it's playing a huge impact because this is the hard part about a resume for people that don't do what I do, for example, if you're in HR. They want to know who you are, what you're about, what your family is about, what you're like, what's your intention of staying, what do you like to do for fun. Clients want to know all that stuff. It's really like 80% of what they want to know is who you are, but it's supposed to be under the guise of a professional resume, and I'm just interviewing for a position. But the reality is we make decisions not solely based on that, right? So the reason why my service is very popular is because I think the best way to get a job, right, is through referral, right? Let's say you guys know me, right? And I'm not doing what I do. And you're like, Tim, I really need a great salesperson to work for my company. And I'd be like, okay, well, I'm not under the guise of ACO. Here, there's a good sales guy. I'll refer him over to you, right? That's how you build your company early on, and it's through friends and family
like
and referrals.
What we did, yes.
Right. I feel like Vaco's that next step, or firms like mine, and that a company's paying us because we're able to get objective information. When I interview someone, for example, I'm not interviewing them for a job. I know I'm pulling a lot into this, but I'm interviewing them for what they want to do with their career. And then when I find a match out in, space over here from a client that's like, hey, we're looking for someone to do this. Ooh, I have a match. In other words, when you're interviewing subjectively every single time, right? So one of the advantages you could have by using and employing a social media strategy is by leveraging what people are like me and HR is going to do, which is to try to figure out who you are and get some information beyond your resume before they even talk to you.
So it's necessary to have that social media presence.
In my opinion, 100%. If you're not involved in the conversation, and I feel like I'm becoming to the point where I trust people less. Unless I'm talking to them on the phone and they explain to me, and for several reasons, why they're not online in any capacity. But you often wonder about that person. Maybe they have a fear or they have something to hide. Again, I don't want to go through all what negatively could go through your mind. You like to hope for the best. But my reality is, what's the fear? You can control what you put on the internet. You don't need to put your address and pictures of your kids, which a lot of people end up doing, and it's great. I mean, you don't hear about that anymore. I'm talking more from a career perspective. You're hiring people, right? Or a lot of times, my CEO says this a lot. He goes, it's really funny. When clients are so focused on hiring on skill set, they get so focused and they hire on that skill set, and they think they've done a great job of hiring on that skill set. And then on Monday, the person shows up. And with that comes all these other nuances, their personality, what time they showed up, who they're going to be,
drama,
what they're doing. Yeah. And so, hey, I hired the skill set, but now I have a person. And that's what social media helps you convey, and if leveraged properly, can give you many advantages.
No, great information. Again, need to make sure that you have the right image on social media. So especially when you are job hunting, wanting to excel in your career, to make sure that the right image is coming out to those that are searching, because they're going to take a look, like it or not.
What's funny is I talked to this young applicant. He was friends with my boss. He was actually from out of town. And what was really interesting was he had said he was about to start his job search soon. He had done some entrepreneurial things. He was finishing school, and he said, but I'm not going to start for like 2 weeks because I have a massive amount of scrubbing to do of my Facebook profile from the fun I've been having from traveling. So that, before you start the process, you could just kind of put everything up there, and there isn't truly a real delete button online. Like, you can subpoena stuff from Google and find out everything you've ever done. So you should be careful what you put online. But for all intents and purposes, you can control, who sees your LinkedIn and your Facebook and, Instagram and what you do on there. And so if you're very secure in your job and you don't have to worry about that right now, maybe you put everything up there and you don't mind it. But I think when you're in the job search standpoint, you should try to control that information and put a little bit of a damper on it to a degree, right?
I'll take that one step farther. If you're in a career position, I may not be looking for a job. I know when I was hired on to Jimmy Dean Meat Company, I wasn't looking for a job. Okay, they came after me. So that was before the era of social media, but
right.
Not LinkedIn was there, and I was on LinkedIn.
I didn't think there were computers back then. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
All right. We'll talk later on, Jerry, on that. But looking at that side of it, yeah, I mean, they were more interested in knowing what I wanted, what I was about, what motivated me, and all of those type of situations and people skills, because they were looking at me for a plant manager of a meat plant. So
it's an awesome segue. So beyond that, we're trying to say, for your own standpoint, you should have a social media strategy as it relates to your career, not just your personal life. These things are becoming, very blurred, right? So the word I like to use is transparency. It's been around a long time ago, which is the internet has made it that it's more necessary for you to be transparent about who you are and what you do and such.
Totally agree.
The reason why that's key, though, what you highlighted, Richard, which I love, which is really the area of the market my firms like mine try to tap into, is what we call a passive job seeker. You may not even be active, so I almost want to retract what I said a little bit earlier. Don't just scrub it when you're ready to get a new job. You should be careful about what you put on there, and that it's important and valuable. And, Sherry and I were talking before the show. We take time to think before we put anything on our social media profile. It's done with a purpose to add value or have a message or do something.
Most definitely.
Because someone could be looking for you, meaning you could be in your job, be there 4 years, and be relatively happy and have a unique skill set that someone like me is looking for. And I call you up. Little do you know that there's a new firm in town that's building a new, division that someone like you would be excellent to head up, that could double your salary or change the dynamic overnight. And, I see all this stuff on the internet, and I call and I find some personal information. So the call gets pretty warm and easy pretty quickly. And lo and behold, you have an opportunity knocking on your door, and all you did was keep yourself what we call passively available, meaning you have some sort of profile and such online. I mean, LinkedIn has changed the dynamic because of that reason. They've made more professional profiles available like never before. I mean, before we had to literally call through resumes and I mean, still we use a ton through referrals, because you get one good person and, you want to tap into their sphere of influence. Our sphere of influence tends to be the best way to help us take the next step for anything. Whether you want to hire a plumber or, get your new position. And I like to tap into that sphere of influence to say, oh, if you're looking for a position, you should call Tim. You should call Vaco. Or if you guys are looking to make a hiring decision, or you're thinking about analyzing this project, you should try Vaco. You should call Vaco. It's absolutely free to talk to them. They're a contingent firm, and they give, they consult with you on what the next best step might be. So we might not be able to help you directly, but I can promise that there's value through the process. Couldn't help but put a commercial in there for myself.
And it was a doggone good one at that, Tim.
I was supposed to be subtle, but I figured I'd call myself out. Right?
No, it was awesome. It was awesome. But exactly. I mean, that's why you just really have to be very careful. And, there are so many that do not understand the process of social media either. As you said, you can scrub it. You can have stuff out there. But if something was shared that you had made public at one time and others shared it, you weren't able to delete that.
Right.
And Twitter is one of those accounts that as soon as you put something on Twitter, it is made into a web